So it is my proud privilege to welcome you all to this parallel track 1C session, which is dedicated to civil aviation, infrastructure, regional standards and mechanisms for improvement and cooperation. Since yesterday, as a part of this two-day regional connectivity conference, we have organized 4 plenary sessions so far. We have had excellent deliberations in all of the sessions from experts on various aspects of regional connectivity. While we move ahead with the agenda for this session, 2 other sessions are also underway in 2 other halls. Now, the objective of this session is to have an idea of the major hurdles for implementing seamless civil aviation connectivity in the region, the relevant stakeholders who can affect policy changes, and the major viable investment opportunities that can promote a sound air transport infrastructure throughout the region. So before I invite the speakers onto the dais, I have a small announcement to make. We are using an application called Slido. I think most of you will be familiar with it by now. Please log on to sli.do from your mobile phone and join hashtag RCC 2018 event to post your questions to the panelists. It is far simpler than you think. So please do not hesitate to pose as many questions as you want. With this, may I now request the panelists to come on stage, please? Mr. Sandeep Bahl, Program Director, US-India Aviation Cooperation Program. We invite Ms. Usha Padhee, Joint Secretary, Ministry of Civil Aviation, Government of India. Mr. Birendra Bahadur Basnet, Managing Director, Buddha Air, Nepal. Mr. A.K. Manzur Ahmed, Deputy Director Planning, Civil Aviation Authority of Bangladesh. And last but not the least, Ms. Joyeeta Bhattacharjee, Senior Fellow, Observer Research Foundation. I request Mr. Bahl to moderate the session and carry on with the proceedings. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Bhattacharjee, and thank you for all of you attending this very exciting topic that I must say it's going to blow off some of your thinking about what is regional connectivity is all about. I'm very lucky that we have some great representation here on this panel. The representation is basically from private sector, from regulatory side, from government sector, and also from looking at from the social part of this tourism and travel and regional connectivity from that area too. I hope you have all read the bios and information of the panelists. If you haven't, please do let me know. You have? You know them all? Oh, great. Because I thought it's if I repeat it again, that won't be very exciting for you. And as you heard, there's a Slido. Please use it. If you're using it, I'll be watching your questions, and I will make sure that we try to answer those questions during the session. We also have something very interesting to talk about, especially when it comes to aviation. As you know, aviation is something which is very exciting. It's also very glamorous. It's also very capital intensive. And regional connectivity, when we look at this part of the world in South Asia, you don't find it's been talked a lot. And it's been talked in a way where they say there are lots of gaps within this regional connectivity. I wanted to start the discussions giving you in hindsight on the 2 other regions in the world which looked at regional connectivity as the base to jumpstart their economies. One is ASEAN region, if you all know 9, 10 countries in there. And then the other one is the European region. European region with the Eurocontrol, they have opted on easy people-to-people movement on the ground first, and then they wanted to make sure that their airlines are also being managed through a one Eurocontrol, through one air navigation system. They were able to successfully able to achieve the people-to-people movement. And if you know Spain, Portugal, even France, they get a lot of tourism, and most of the tourism is within Europe. Coming back to ASEAN, these 9 countries, very diversified countries, right? They basically have different languages altogether, and they also have a lot of waterways. It's not they are all connected with land. They were able to first of all do a open skies within their countries. They are still, like, it's 10-year process for them. They looked at whether navigation could be controlled from one base, but they were not able to achieve it yet. They're still under discussion. But one thing they were able to achieve dramatically is getting region connected in a way where when they're attracting tourism, so people coming from Europe, when they're going to Thailand, they were able to also go easily to Cambodia or to Laos or to Vietnam. So it was piggybacking on each other's strength, attracting tourists and travelers into other regions of the ASEAN. Now, based on these 2 or 3 points, I would like to take this discussion further with our panelists on some of the important things where how socially we can interconnect our region. What are the infrastructure issues that are there that we can overcome? If there are any regulatory issues within the region or within the countries that we need to focus on. And then what are these advantages? What are the actual real advantage of having a regional connectivity and people-to-people connection? How does it help overall in our in this environment? So with that, I would first like to ask our panelists to give their thoughts, initial thoughts, and then we'll get into the questions and answers. As I said, you will all be participating in this discussion. So if you will not send me Slido questions, I can assure you I'll be walking over to you and asking questions, right? So that the panelists can get involved with you. Interaction will be a great today, right? Because after this, we're gonna have lunch. So if you're not gonna be hungry with this interaction, you're not gonna enjoy lunch, right? So let's, with that, let's start. Who would like to start first? I decided, okay, let's start with Mr. Ahmed. He was able to get permission to get here in a very short notice, and his boss is sitting here, so let's see he speaks well, right? Thank you. Yes, please. Yes.
Thank you, Sandeep. Respected moderator, high-profile panelists beside me, and distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum, and very good morning to you all. On behalf of the Civil Aviation Authority of Bangladesh, it is my privilege to welcome you all in this important plenary session. And I would like to extend my very special thanks to those who have arranged such a beautiful event. Because I am surprised that this event was organized by a non-aviation organization. So thank you all for this reason. Ladies and gentlemen, aviation's future overflows with opportunities. The world is growing richer. This is not my view, it's World Bank report. The world is becoming richer. Number of middle income people has increased significantly. Trade empowered by connectivity is a leading force in infrastructure development. Aviation business is the business of freedom. Facts show that aviation has created immense value by bringing people, products, and business together. As per IATA report this year, 4 billion passengers who boarded planes in 2017 demonstrates the human desire to explore, connect, learn, and collaborate across great distances. In the same year, over 60 million tons of cargo was delivered by air in last year. Aviation's financial foundation is stronger than ever before. Airlines will make 33.8 billion US dollar this year, as per IATA's prediction. Passenger demand is expected to grow 7% and cargo by 4%. Air transport is essential in global transportation and is more than ever an essential driver for economic, social, and cultural development across the world. Currently, aviation industry maintains around 63 million jobs worldwide, generates more than 2 trillion US dollars in global economic activity, and carries annually more than 500 million international tourists. And it is projected to keep growing. It contributes significantly to the national GDP of the developed countries. ICAO forecasted, International Civil Aviation Organization forecasted that passenger movement will increase from 4 billion in 2017 to more than 6 billion by 2030. And the movement of air traffic will be doubled by that year. On the other hand, the total value of cargo goods transported by air represent 35% of the whole international trade. This trend is expected to continue in the future. It is said that the geographical center of gravity of passenger movements is shifting, steadily moving from the middle of North Atlantic to the middle of the Mediterranean Sea in the last 4 decades. It is expected to move further east by 2040. It is already shifted to, I think, South Asia. Air transport in the Asia-Pacific region is growing rapidly. And depending on the available data, we expect a similar growth in the aviation sector of Bangladesh. In fact, in about 10 years' time, the Asia-Pacific region will probably become the largest air transport market in the world. All these are opportunities, but at the same time, challenges that we will have to face in the near future. Bangladesh, in fact, among the forerunner states in Asia-Pacific region in aviation activities. Bangladesh has a big neighbor like India, is landlocked from 3 sides by India. So, and about 1.5 billion people lives, that means 1/5 of the total world population lives in this region. So aviation has a huge potential to grow in this region. The growth rate, both in terms of passenger and freight services, is remarkable in Bangladesh. For example, while the aggregated global growth in passenger carrier is about 7% in the last 3 years, Bangladesh has registered an average 8% growth in the last 3 years. So it is 1% greater than the global growth. In cargo sector, the growth figure is phenomenal at 14%, while the global average is 7.1%. Growth rate of aircraft movement is 14% in last 3 years. Based on trend of growth of passenger and cargo in Asia-Pacific region, we expect an increase in passenger volume from 7.65 million in 2017. Last year, it was 7.65 million in Bangladesh. It will expected to grow 10.2 million in 2020. Air cargo from 324,256 metric ton to 432,000 metric tons by 2020. It's expected. The current trend of growth is almost emphasized by the interest of many countries to complete air services agreement with Bangladesh to promote bilateral commercial prospects in passenger and cargo sector. This growth also signals Bangladesh to be a regional hub in aviation sector. Civil Aviation Authority of Bangladesh has revolutionized its airport infrastructure development by undertaking lots of projects. Currently, there are more than 10 projects are going on. Most of them are huge budget projects. For example, we are expanding our Dhaka airport, it is Hazrat Shah Jalal International Airport. Currently, we have only 8 boarding bridges and about 23 parking bays. Now, we are increasing it is to about 26 boarding bridges with a new terminal. It is financed by JICA. Almost it is 14,000 crore taka project. And another airport we are going to build, this is in the south Bangladesh, this is called Khan Jahan Ali Airport. It will be a pure new airport, and it is going to be constructed by PPP financing. Two of India's firms are going to construct this airport. Also, Cox's Bazar Airport Development Project is going on. We have increased the runway from 6,000 feet to 9,000 feet. Nowadays, 737 Boeings are operating to Cox's Bazar. And Cox's Bazar is a very potential airport for tourism. Now, the domestic tourism has grown in Bangladesh tremendously. Even 5 years ago, we did not get so much tourists in Cox's Bazar. You know, Bangladesh has the longest sea beach in the world. And Cox's Bazar sea beach is very nice sea beach. We have St. Martin's Island. Every day, lots of tourists are visiting from Bangladesh and outside Bangladesh. About 5 years ago, we have to check that in which days flights go to Cox's Bazar. But nowadays, every day, 11 flights are operating from Dhaka to Cox's Bazar. Of them, about 7 are 737. So you can guess that how much tourism is increased. 20 years ago, Bangladeshi people used to go by year only for working in the Middle East or for higher studies in outside Bangladesh. But nowadays, Bangladeshis are going outside for tourism purposes. We have seen that during government holidays, government vacation, like Eid festivals or Puja festivals, lots of Bangladeshis are passing their vacations outside Bangladesh. So Bangladesh per capita income has already grown to a significant level, and Bangladesh already, I think you know that Bangladesh already graduated from least developed countries to mid-income countries. So, to develop the infrastructure, airport infrastructure, we have lots more projects in hand. Now we are going to increase the Cox's Bazar runway to 12,000 feet for using it for using as an international airport. And some new airports are going to be constructed. I have already said the Khan Jahan Ali Airport at Bagerhat, Khulna, near Sundarbans. Other airports are in pipeline. For example, development of Borishal Airport, Soyodpur Airport, and we are constructing it to operate it as a regional airport. Regional airport, I know that you may know that Bhutan has interest to use that airport. I think India will also be, bordering districts of West Bengal will also be benefited from this airport. Nepal can be benefited from this airport. And we are going to a big airport named Bangabandhu International Airport, feasibility study of this airport, feasibility study for site selection is already done by Japanese company Nippon Koi, and this will be a mega project expected to be cost more than 50,000 crore Bangladeshi taka. And Usmani Airport at Sylhet, this expansion project is going on. Usmani International Airport expansion project is also going on. It is 2,500 crore project. Then Soyodpur Airport and Paira Airport, you heard the name I think, is in near Bay of Bengal, Paira in the Patuakhali district of Bangladesh. Actually it is a maritime port, but now we are constructing an airport there. Another 2 domestic airports will be constructed very soon. These are Noakhali Airport and Thakurgaon Airport. So all these projects are undertaken to meet the increasing passenger demand and cargo demand in Bangladesh. Domestic tourism in Bangladesh has the longest sea beach, I have already told this. So a lot of places of historical importance in Bangladesh. Largest mangrove forest, Sundarbans in Bangladesh. Beautiful natural sites and landscape of hilly districts of Sylhet, Chittagong, and St. Martin's Coral Island. Kuakata Sea Beach, where you can watch both sunrise and sunset. Diverse multi-ethnic cultures, all these are attracting both domestic and international tourists. Bangladesh has huge potential for aviation. About 2 crore Bangladeshis are working outside in different countries as expatriates. These people are traveling around the year. Therefore, airline industries increasing their frequencies to Bangladesh. We are developing Soyodpur Airport as regional airport from the bordering districts of West Bengal. There are challenges in easing regional connectivity. By promoting smarter regulations, we must vigilantly defend global standards, and we will be able to encounter evil practices like human trafficking. We have to ensure safety and security of aircrafts, passengers, and cargoes through following standards of ICAO and local regulatory matters. Thank you all for listening to me with patience. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Ahmed. I think he has very good details about Bangladesh. Just enticed me to go and visit his Cox's Bazar, longest beach in the world, right? So we
Only heard about this. He mentioned many other places.
and no, we just thought, okay, pick up one good point there. But there are a lot of good points that we can deliberate later. So, oh yes, definitely. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Ahmed. Ma'am, would you like to take next?
Namaskar. I am privileged to be here. In fact, the invitation was for the secretary. He couldn't come, so he deputed me. I'm thankful to Mr. Ahmed, who gave some statistics about the global aviation, how interesting the figures are, how encouraging the numbers are. Now, let me bring back to the context of regional regions. India, being such a vast country, has all the potential to become a very big market. We intend to be a third largest, both domestically and internationally. We have a plan for that, and in 2016, a comprehensive civil aviation policy was announced in India. It's in a very unique position. The country, it can be considered as a subcontinent. It's such a vast area. We had so much of growth. Even now, we say last 4 to 5 years, we have more than 20% of growth. You compare, you see the numbers of the global average and in Indian average. We had a very low benchmark of the passengers, air passengers. And you see the demographic advantage India has, youngest country, and we have more than 30 crores, that is almost 300 million plus middle class who have been growing at a very substantial rate. the aspirations level of these people have been very, very high. Now, with that much of growth, I mean, like we have around, we had in fact around when we started with this new civil aviation policy, maybe around 70 airports which were having commercial schedule operations at that point of time. And it was 70 plus years of independence, and such a vast country which has 30 states, that is the provincial governments. It's only 70 airports, each state having hardly 2 airports, 2 to 3 airports. And the growth, what we say, that so many 8 million plus passengers are having 80 millions, in fact, around 8 crores of passengers domestically who would be traveling. More than 70% are in the major 6 to 7 cities. It is very good. We are very happy for the growth. But at the same time, a country like India, which has a democracy, cannot sit and watch the aspiration of the people. There is so much of demand, and people cannot wait for you to develop and open up more areas. This is what we call a national goal. Otherwise, the development will be very skewed. All the fruits of the development or growth of civil aviations are limited to some of the cities, which is not acceptable and cannot be borne for very long on for any elected government. So in this regard, there was a complete shift of the policy, where it was acknowledged that we have to go for more infrastructure, open up more areas. We have to identify a better business model, because it becomes very, very difficult as a sustainable model. But there has to be intervention of the government. So with this conviction, we had started the regional connectivity scheme in the which has been formed by the Government of India in the Ministry of Civil Aviation. But there are active partnership with many other state governments. They have been part of it. And it's a very, very peculiar model, I can say. I can see Amber sitting here, and he understands the detail when we have designed this scheme. There were several rounds of consultation. I am sharing this because my friends from neighboring countries are here. We all are in the same situation. Maybe geographically we are big, but I'm sure you must be having the same problem of remote and the interior areas where you want to open up. One is about the about having infrastructure, having connectivity. It is Mr. Basnet was just mentioning about the ghost airport. Sir, we had 400 plus ghost airport in newer terms. If it is there, that we have had a lot of airstrip where we have no operations happening since years together. So that was our first task, to ensure that these regional areas, remote areas, will have the airport. Airport requires infrastructure. Infrastructure requires money, which cost a lot of, what we call the expenditure from the budget from government. Because in these areas, it is not a business model where private people can be crowded in or brought in. So this is where we have tried to intervene, and but I will be coming to this part where we would like to take it forward and make sure that this would become an interested sector where private can also chip in and invest. So the first was infrastructure development. So we have developed almost 56 airports. Some of are there in pipeline, getting ready for the license. We have very tough regulators in India who are keeping the standard or the regulation bar very high. So it is getting an airport license is very, very, very cumbersome, as well as very sophisticated job. So 56 airports in last 2 years we are getting ready. 34 have got licensed already. Operations have started. Along with this, it is also for us to ensure that the entire ecosystem becomes friendly for such operations, which includes the enabling circulars, regulations. I don't know what is the system in our neighboring countries. We have the heliports. We have started doing heliports, and having a almost like a schedule operation of helicopter is a very very tough job in India. We did not have regulation, and without having, we had regulation for non-schedule operations, there is no doubt, but for schedule operation of such helicopter operations. Secondly, about this small aircraft, which are like 20 seaters, 10 seaters, to bring them under the schedule category and make sure that they will have the same standard of safety and security. We had to work with regulators and get the templates or the regulation in place. So I would like to mention that one is about the infrastructure, second is about the enabling regulations, which would also helped us to get to this goal. And thirdly, about the affordability. If we had everything, we have airports in positions, we have airlines licensed or getting permit and are able to operate to these areas, the cost will be so high, and it would not be sustainable for any airline to make the operation. And there has to be a development of the market. If I fly from Delhi to Bangalore several times and get almost 100% PLF, why I should be going to area like Jagdalpur or some part of West Bengal, like Kuch Bihar and all, where I don't get any ready-made passengers or ready-made market available. So this sustainability or making it affordable and making it a business model for the airlines was another task which we had to consider. There again, uh, uh, because some people may think that what would be the intervention of government and where is that line, where to enter and where not to enter. So in that regard, again it was decided that yes, government will chip in there. How? We will have a market mechanism, we will identify the demand. If there is a demand and if any airline venture to start, to trigger initial enthusiasm, we would be intervening and we will be providing the viability gap funding. And this viability gap funding would be decided on the, again, through market-based mechanism, going through the bidding process, going through the entire chain of initial bidding, counter bidding, because we don't know which routes work, which don't work, because we are not the people who can design the networks. It would be designed by the airlines. Once it is designed by the airlines, we don't know whether the airline has done due diligence and has put actually, because they are not working for any charity. It is about maximization of profit. So somebody may challenge, because government is more accountable when they are intervening in such area, whether we should be giving them the right VGF or not. So this was the question we asked to ourselves, and we had identified what should be the mechanism through which we have to identify that the market determined rates only would be provided to airlines. So this is the third component I would like to mention. So this is what we had done for the locally in India for regional connectivity and expansion. There have been a lot of good statistics which I can share, along with the challenges which I just mentioned, that most of the routes which we have started with the bigger aircraft, especially the ATR type aircraft and above, the PLF is, average PLF is 82% in almost 102 routes. When I mention 2 routes, of course, you can divide it by 2, because it is to and fro is considered as 2 route. So it would be around 50 sectors. We have 82% passenger, and it is completely a new market. It is not the existing market. It is adding to the number of passengers. Secondly, we have more number of airports opening up, which would again going to help airlines to invest in these areas and gradually develop. And for that initial period where they would be having taking some risk, they will be able to take the help of the government and do. The model, if you have during the question, if you want to know better, we will also mention the details, how the cost side as well as revenue side interventions were made by the government. So that I will be mentioning. But at this stage, I'll stop here. But with this opening remarks, I am thankful for your attention and patience. I'll be here, and I was not carrying my card because many of my colleagues were sharing. So I would like to mention that my numbers would be available with the sponsors here. Otherwise, you can go to Twitter where my blue tick account is there, Usha Padhee. So you can check and you can send the direct messages also. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. It's very insightful to hear the Indian growth, right? I think you all be looking at any market which is a new marketplace with the 82% load factor, achieving in a very short time, it's a great success. So thank you. I would like to go to our private entrepreneur. Now we have heard from the government side to hear from Mr. Basnet of Budhaya, his opening remarks. But could I request keep it a little bit short and sweet? Yeah, thank you. Excellent. So thank you.
Thank you, Sandeepji. Good morning, everyone. I'm Birendra Basnet from Budhaya. We are the biggest private sector airline in Nepal. I'll be talking regarding this regional connectivity in the context of Nepal, because I'm just aware of Nepal, so I'll just be talking about in the context of Nepal. Right now, briefly, our total economy is based on labor export, especially the unskilled and semi-skilled labor to India as well as Middle East and Malaysia. So this right now, by 2020, we will be out of our 30 million population, 4.4 million people will be out of Nepal working as labor. That is about 1 in 53% of our household. And the main challenge for the Nepalese economic growth has to be equitable employment. So that is basically tourism, and we have a huge potential of tourism in Nepal. Every 5 tourists actually creates 1 employment, direct employment. I'm not talking about the backward linkage or the forward linkage. And tourism is the only industry that actually can create equitable wealth distribution, because you're talking about homestay to super luxury hotels. And I think for Nepal, the tourism for Nepal main source is going to be India, because right now, as per the source of Bureau of Immigration India, 24 million tourists are outbound last year, and out of that only 160,000 were going to India. So that is where we will need the connectivity in the first phase. And our unique selling point for India is we are next door. We don't require visas. Our Hindu and Buddhist temple, religion and sites are there to be catered for the Indian tourists. And also 38% of Nepalese outbound are into India. So this is a major potential for the initial phase. And regarding the international connectivity, Nepal just has 1 international airport operative right now in Kathmandu, which and out of the total passengers, 65% of the total passenger component is labor. And that also, our main tourist season is October, November, and March, April. But on October, November, our main religious festival, Dasera and Diwali also is in that period. So we cannot create that passenger shift into tourism out of TIA. Upcoming Gautam Buddha International Airport, that is near Lumbini, could create a kind of labor passenger shift, but I don't know. We need to concentrate on the tourist market. Nisgarh Airport is also Nisgarh International Airport, that is near Bhairava in the plains, which is supposed to be one of the mega. The thinking is of a mega project there. But I don't know if that airport is going to absorb the capacity, as what I was talking to Ushaji, that airport might be too big for our consumption, and that could be a debt trap on the short and mid-term. So basically, we are looking at the other thing about Nepal right now is because of our open border and of the policy that India has just brought in, basically UDAN. Nepalese passengers traveling out of Bagdora, Gorakhpur, and Lucknow is much cheaper than traveling from Nepal to India or outwards. Because from Bagdora, you're getting Bagdora, Delhi is about 2.5 hours flight, and the fare you get if you are booking 20 days early, 20 days before is 1,500 rupees Indian currency. And you have 14 flights a day out of Bagdora to Delhi. So why would people wanting to travel to Delhi? Massive. And Gorakhpur is coming up. I think Gorakhpur has also started. Lucknow is fantastic. And it's just 1 hour to 2.5 hours drive out of our border to these destinations. So at this moment, we need to be very creative. We need to think out of the box, and how are we going to cater in this regional connectivity? Because our economic growth has to be international connectivity, basically regional connectivity, because we have this massive infrastructure that is coming up in India, and how are we going to cater to that? How are we going to tap into that? So that is the challenge. So what we think is the solution has to be promote tourism and create this as the main international passenger component. That is what Buddha Air is planning and what we are working towards. And we have an airport coming up in Pokhara Regional International Airport. That is going to be completed in June 10, 2021. This is a ECP project under the agreement with the Chinese government. It's a turnkey finance. And Pokhara is the current tourism hub of Nepal. And now that we have this federal governance, this Gandaki region, that is the federal state of Pokhara. So that is our major tourism potential. Actually, it is a tourism destination. So you're talking about almost 1/8 of the total area of Nepal. And our USP, as I mentioned before, is the Himalaya ecology, Himalaya flora, fauna, and of course, religion and culture and our history. So out of Pokhara, that is the easiest connectivity to the Himalayas. You're just driving a day's drive and you are reaching the foothills of the Himalayas. And also, this is the area where we have trained human resource for tourism, and the infrastructure is already there. So what about the regional connectivity and the potential of investment? I personally think that if we shift a little bit, rather than airports and airline, you're talking about a massive investment requirement into tourism industry in Nepal. Because right now we're just catering to about 8-9 lakh, 800,000 tourists a year, I think. And out of that, 160,000 is Indian. So my focus as an aviator is to primarily focus in India, and we could be creating at least 2 million Indians coming to Nepal because of this unique selling point. So you will be requiring massive investment into the tourism industry. And because if we are talking about this passenger shift towards tourism, that is going to create the paradigm for our economic development. And once this Pokhara airport becomes successful, we could be creating similar models into Biratnagar and Nepal, Dhangadi. Dhangadi is our far west region, and Biratnagar is our east region. So there could be a regional connectivity similar to Pokhara if once we create the passenger. Because as an aviator, with what I have been doing for the last 21, 22 years, to be a millionaire from a billionaire, you need to open an airline. So, so it is a very, very dicey business. It's a very, very operating capital intensive business. And if you are not doing it correctly, you are just going to just going to collapse. So for a sustainable, and for Nepal, I don't know if the government can put up the kind of subsidy and the kind of support that Indian government has put for Udan. Nepal, we need to be sustained on our own, and the tourist passenger is the main mainstay for this sustainability. So once Pokhara Regional International Airport becomes successful, we are talking about Biratnagar and East Biratnagar and far west Dhangadi, and the model has to be regional connectivity. The advantage for Nepal is we need to connect into cities like Delhi, Mumbai, Bangalore, Chennai, and all these area where you are talking about hub spoke. In fact, we are the remote, and these places are going to be the hub. So all the offline connectivity out of Delhi, Mumbai, Bangalore, Chennai, and all these places. So we don't need to go intercontinental. Rather, we'll be going regional. And for that, we require code sharing and interline connectivity with other airlines, as well as membership into global GDS systems, so that it's not only creating additional tourism into Nepal, but also into India, because it will be an outwards from India. So it's going to be a win-win situation for both India and Nepal, if this kind of a connectivity can be created. But for Pokhara, we require, the challenges are, this is a very, very difficult airport after Paro. So this is the second difficult airport after Paro, because we have been evaluating this with Boeing as well as Airbus. And the requirement is precision navigation system. So we are also working on that side. And the requirement, the streamlining of special status with India, what we think is the categorization of landing, parking, navigation, ground handling, and passenger service charge. We think should be as per the flight time. I don't know if that's possible or not, but I think that is what we require, because the maximum flight time we have is about 2 hours. Even from Chennai, I think we're talking about 3 hours. But flying out of London into Indira Gandhi Airport, the landing, parking, navigation, ground handling, and passenger service charge is same as flying out of Kathmandu, which is just 1 hour, 10 minutes. And also opening up straight air routes, which would be an advantage, and cost effectiveness, and slots, which are very difficult to get. So as a special status for Nepal and India, because we have a historical relationship, we would definitely want to look into that. Right now, what we are doing for Priya, Pokhara International Airport, is we are finalizing the air traffic and airspace management system, because this is very difficult, and we're working with Jeppesen. And that needs to be in place before we finalize the fleet. We will be finalizing our fleet by the end of this year, and applying to Civil Aviation Authority Nepal first quarter of next year. And we plan to start and sign an MOU with the relevant aircraft manufacturer, either Boeing or Airbus, one of those two. And we are working in tandem with Civil Aviation Authority, Minister of Civil Aviation, to streamline the required air service agreements, because this is a new greenfield airport, so we require air service agreements, policies and strategies for a commercially successful operation out of Priya to start August 1st, 2021. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Basnet. He has taken you across Nepal with the challenges, infrastructure issues, but also he has mentioned something that's very important for building a nice region across this area, the regional connectivity that we're talking about. I think one of the theme is regional connectivity, not within your country, but also within the region. That is, we have a very good discussions that the Prime Minister Modi had recently in Nepal with the BIMSTEC, it's called, with the BIMSTEC area. And you can see the intra-region connectivity is the focus. Based on that focus, I would like to ask Jyoti, give us your thoughts, very short ones though, because we have a lot of questions coming here, on how it's socially, this regional connectivity can happen. The social part of it, the people part of it. Yeah, because we also hear a lot of disturbances within the people-to-people discussions. Thank you. And please keep it short, yeah. 5 minutes is okay? Okay, I give you a signal. Thank you, yes.
Am I audible? Thank you, Kurtz and US Embassy for organizing this important conference on connectivity. And more importantly, we are discussing aviation. And why I am here, you might be seeing my CV. Here we have all of our panelists, they're all industry expert. But I'm more a political scientist by training, looking into South Asia. But you know, when we are talking about regional connectivity, it should have a multidisciplinary approach. So I will try to conceive regional connectivity, how it can really help to create the whole concept of South Asia. But when I was hearing my discussion with my previous speakers, I was looking into the country they were representing. Bangladesh, India, Nepal. Unfortunately, Bhutan is missing. But maybe if Bhutan was there, I already see a circuit emerging. And it is BBIN. BBIN circuit emerging. Already we are discussing about MVA. We have already signed an MVA. Of course, it's been exists already. And I think with the aviation, BBIN, the concept of BBIN, the aviation sector could emerge. So I already see a very approach towards a sub-regional cooperation emerging, and South Asia includes, I would try to see Eastern South Asia. So this can be an idea which I was sitting, and so I thought to share my thing. The concept here, the very interesting, the name of the conference is Regional Connectivity, South Asia in the context of Indo-Pacific. It's very important, and we are, as already we have said, we are discussing civil aviation. And probably I am a South Asia scholar, and I'm working on connectivity, and I have attended a lot of conferences, but somewhere the civil aviation was missing, you know, and I congratulate Kurtz for organizing this important thing. And if you see the map of South Asia, it is actually in the center of Indo-Pacific. And aviation could be an area which South Asia can take a lead and could emerge as a global hub for civil aviation. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. And that really made me think why it didn't happen. Because there was this opportunities. And now, of course, now, whenever we look into the South Asian issues and policies among the countries, everybody is talking about connectivity. And we are creating infrastructure. But I also see why that didn't happen. Politics came in. It's not that we were not talking about connectivity. There were different issues. But somewhere or the other, those connectivity issues got stalled. And it was the politics. In a great way, it stalled that great concept of South Asian connectivity. But now we are moving. But when I looked into aviation sector, despite everything, this was the only sector where every country may not be the way we wanted, but there was a connectivity existing. So can connectivity could lead to peace? Because I'm a political scientist and having a training in peace and development, I would always try to see from the point of peace and development. And I see aviation gives a great opportunity to really connect people together. It not only the movement of mobility, because it gives really ease out the movement of mobility, but it creates the concept of remoteness. It really brings people together. It promotes people-to-people connectivity. Businesses grow. It greatly helps in breaking of perception, because it's really, as we move from one place to other, the remoteness goes away, and perception is a very important matter when we really want to create a relationship. And in South Asia, we unfortunately, perception has been a major stumbling block, whether it is a regional connectivity or we are talking about even political relationship. In fact, the whole of South Asia somewhere got lost, the narrative got lost because of the perception. And I find aviation could really make that thing happen. And actually India took that effort and tried to use aviation as a major mode for developing and using it for peace and sustainable growth but it is within, and it is the Northeast India. I come from Northeast India, and I really know how connectivity has been a constraint for the development and growth, and also the perception. Here I find a lot of people from the BBIN region, so you really know how Northeast is located and what has been the constraints. And we had, in fact, it was the problem of the underdevelopment. A lot of people say underdevelopment is connectivity. I would say that it was the constraint which really put us away from thinking to the mainstream idea of India. But I would congratulate our government of India, the effort they have put in by coming off of the various infrastructures they have brought in, and it's significantly changed. Because now if you go to an airport, the Aizawl airport, has played a significant role in transformation of very idea of remoteness and integration. Right now in Mizoram, which was one of the most insurgency-infested area, is the most peaceful state. And if you talk, people are moving, they are traveling. It is not only enabling the people to grow up, also in integrating with the very idea of India. So this is very important. Similarly, the Sikkim airport is a major boom, I would say, if you really want to think about development and also the integrating the society. This has been a very major positive development. But of course, and the direct impact can be seen from the point of tourism, because there has been sustained growth in tourism industry in Northeast, and it is growing at the point of 20% annually, which is very positive. And it has really not only impacting the empowerment of the women, the youth folk, and also reducing violence in the region. It has really played a major. Because of the constraint of time, I'm not giving all the data. I'm just sharing but what is important, if you really want to see, if you want to reimagine the idea of connectivity from the point of peace, and we are talking about aviation, it is highly investment driven, and even running the cost, there is a recurring cost which is very high. So we really have to think from that commercial point of view, and that where we need to have a very pragmatic approach. Right now, through government URAM scheme and all, government of India is providing a lot of subsidies, but subsidies is not an answer to the long-term solutions, because and probably right now the private players are going in because the kind of privileges they are having. But in the long term, we have to create a sustainable environment. There, a whole holistic approach is necessary. And there, understanding the region's construct, it is not only we have to think about the aviation connectivity within the region, but also in the BBIN, sub-region, and ASEAN. So that really helps, and government right now is thinking about it. But it is not only creating infrastructure is not going to help. We have to think about the value chain, and also I think here the sub-regional corporations could play a major role, because already we are talking about different economic corridors and all, which need to bring brought in. There are also visa issues, because if you really want to create a tourist circuit, There will be visa issues and all, which we really have to have an approach. So the time is very short. So what we really have to do is to have a very holistic approach to the whole issue, and the states, the countries have to be committed in giving that. It's not only about thinking of a national national interest, we have to think as a regional interest. So for me, connectivity in the Pacific should be the connectivity for peace, not for tension. Thank you very much. I hope.
Jyoti has such a passionate speech, right? You agree? And one of the passion that she has is about people. She raised some points that's very interesting to note. First of all, she said, aviation, and it's a beautiful thing. We belong to that area. Aviation could be a peacemaker. You all agree? The idea of using aviation as a peacemaker approach is great. I would like to ask a question to Ms. Usha Padhee on, if you think of this way, investments, getting people to people, exchanging, and in return, you are going to get peace as well as maybe a bigger trade. What are the major hurdles then that we can see from government side to this inter-regional connectivity? What are these major hurdles?
Thank you. I entirely agree that connectivity brings a lot of positive impact in the area, and it has to be multimodal. We say it may be road, railways, for aviation, and also internet. I mean, when we talk of connectivity, it is also the internet, because that will take away your time and space. So that is also one issue which we have to keep in mind. I will just give an example of northeastern region when we say about the how we can bring the peace and how we can bring the people together and what are the hurdles we have. Northeastern states, if you talk to some of the knowledgeable people there, they say how they were so prosper some years back when we did not have the political boundaries. When boundaries started, they were become a what we call landlocked, so-called remote. If you see, without keeping that spectrum or that spectacle of boundaries and just watch that region, that is the mainland for the entire southeastern region rather than the remote area. So people say, you have cut off us from Chittagong port, you have cut off us from from the China side, you have cut off us from something from Bhutan side. So because of, or Nepal for that matter, because of that our region become very constrained, and we couldn't had the trade, tourism, and all those activities which would have brought us the prosperity. And for all the reason, whatever it is social, the economic reason also matters. I mean, if people are prosper, people are happy, problems will come down. Maybe there are exceptions. Political science people can say the most prosper people can also fight, but normally. So in that regard, northeastern states now with UDAN, we have opened up many things. When I spoke about the airport, heliport or the smaller aircraft, this is a region where you can't have a Boeing or Airbus landing there. It has to be a smaller aircraft. That would be an entry-level aircraft. Develop the market, increase the size. Those things can happen very logically. For that, the first the hurdles we face is, one is the geographical hurdles which we have. It may be a political, it may be the other reason, but geographically these areas has to be provided with all type of connectivity. For that, investment should happen. When we say the investment should happen, there has to be a cost of investment which has to be borne by the states. I mean, I am always mentally always open for the private economy or private participation, but at the same time, in such areas, there has to be a government intervention. I cannot treat Maharashtra and northeastern states same. There has to be a pumping in of government infrastructure, where there has to be a business model you can bring in, where you can bring the private investment and that confidence, because the cost of all this logistic in difficult areas is, if I see a report, it is around 14% of our GDP. I mean, the cost of logistic is so high, then you cannot expect the private partners coming and investing the money. You have to have a various annuity model, but you have to have a lot of concessions where government has to play a major role. This is one thing I see the what we call now, it was Act East policy now. Look East policy was there, now it is Act East policy. So where we have to intervene and act. This is one thing I feel which have been there because of various reasons, that equal intervention. Because if you can't have, when we call, she will be able to tell, it is not about the equality, it is about the equity. So you have to spend more in the disadvantaged areas compared to other areas. It has to be a somewhat exponential investment there, then only you will bring it to at par with the other regions. This is one thing which I see which had been lacking, but hopefully now it happens. Manipur has opened up with 5 to 6 heliports now, which are in the border areas and all. And when I went to the Manipur state, they said you can go to those things. I asked, what about the roadblocks? They said, last 2 years we did not have any roadblocks. You can go. You can start. The Roopsi is one area in one airport in Assam, which did not have the construction since years together. Now, after seeing the development of other airports, Roopsi, local people who were not very keen to get the development there, they have called our airport authority people, and we have now started developing. And the issues where the extortion and other things were earlier used to be the big issue, no contractor was going. But now they have already started the work, and hopefully in next 10 months that Roopsi airport in the border should be ready. So similarly, I can give plenty of example. One is about the government intervention, where we understand the holisticness of the issue, and then in multi-pronged ways the government can intervene. Second is a lot of confidence building measures we can do. And scheme like Udan, and for Assam I was just explaining, because of this, blocking the area with the international, from the international borders. Now we have started one scheme. It is of course experimental, but we have started already. That bid is in the public domain. 22nd we will be opening that bid, and first time under this regional connectivity scheme we'll be providing the connectivity from Guwahati to 5 states, including countries Bhutan, Nepal, Singapore, Kuala Lumpur, this Malaysia, and Burma, so Myanmar. So this is like opening up, and with opening up and having a lot of other intervention, I'm sure we are going to take away all those impediments. Thank you.
Excellent answer from Madam Usha Padhee. I think if you all, just a minute. If you all understand the impact of the regional connectivity that has been created within India, and now it's going beyond India, as she mentioned about from Assam, Guwahati, the idea is to have connectivity all across Nepal and to other regions in the Southeast Asia. I know you have a question, but I also have a question on the Slido. That is for Mr. Basnet. The question is, I think you mentioned about something that you are losing some traffic because the airports out of India can provide very cheap tickets to come to Delhi. So you think it's a challenge, or what are you going to do? You know, in the aviation business, besides policies, if we also want to talk about that you make money. If airlines are not making money, forget about anything you want to do, right? So what are those challenges you are facing from these big players across your neighborhood?
I think it's an opportunity because Nepalese are getting very cheap fare to Delhi and outbound. What I suggest, my 2 pence thought is that maybe the Indian policymakers should, because we have a very special status, we don't require visa, we don't require anything to come to Nepal. Sorry, India or Indians coming to Nepal. So I think the outbound connection, like from Bagdora to Delhi and to London, should also be available, so that the Nepalese have this opportunity of getting cheap fare. We are not losing businesses because the connection from Bagdora inwards and to Kathmandu is always domestic, because then that fare is much cheaper than flying Bagdora to Kathmandu direct. So because of our open border, I think that I personally think this is a massive opportunity. And the subsidy that the Indian government is giving for Udan is helping the Nepalese. So I think that's a good thing.
That's great. Like he's taking it very positively, so that's a great thing. I have a question also for Mr. Ahmed from audience. You know, one thing you talk about that airport that you're building, which can actually also help Bhutan, can help Nepal and the people in Sikkim and the West Bengal. You think this interdependence that is there now, because your investment is focused, because you can get all this big market from to that airport. What else you think Bangladesh can do to connect South Asia with Southeast Asia?
Thank you, Sandeep. I think Bangladesh has huge potential to grow infrastructure in aviation field. Like I told you that the airports at Soyadpur can be used by Nepal, Bhutan and India. And from this, Bangladesh also can earn a huge foreign currency, and India, Nepal and Bhutan can be benefited to carry their goods and passengers from Soyadpur airport to their destinations in a shortest road connectivity. Because actually land border is just a barbed fencing. It can be overcome through the air connectivity. South Asia and Southeast Asia. In the South Asian region, the eastern states of India can be highly benefited using the airports of Bangladesh, like Chittagong. Chittagong port, they can be used. Chittagong is a seaport also, so India can take advantage of this. And I think it will be a good opportunity for India to connect their western states with the eastern states through Bangladesh, using Bangladesh airports as well as the Bangladesh roads connectivity. I think actually what is your question, please? Can you clarify? Am I and
One thing I want to
yeah.
would like you to add on to it, how this air connectivity will help with the manufacturing that happens in Bangladesh today.
Manufacturing industries.
Yes.
Yeah, Bangladesh has the Bangladesh has the cheap labor markets in this region.
Oh,
Yeah, in Bangladesh has.
really?
Yeah.
We don't
So
say cheap. Please don't get into that word. We say we are very affordable people in Bangladesh.
nowadays it's
It doesn't sound good.
still now, because we have a huge population. And population, once it was a burden for us, but now it is not a burden. Yeah. So India can build manufacturing industries inside Bangladesh. So I think both India and Bangladesh can be earn his money from those industries.
No, thank you.
Thank you.
That's a great answer. Yeah. Sorry, I have more questions here, but I think there's
Slightly,
to ask questions physically. So I know you had a first question, so let me, gentleman behind you want to ask.
Thank you, Sandeep. This is Kannan. I represent Nathan Associates. This company is an economic consulting firm located, its headquarters in Washington, D.C. I have a question primarily for Usha ji, because she comes from a policy space. You know, when we speak about regional connectivity, which is international, okay, so all that UDAN is basically national, regional, and remote area connectivity. when we speak of regional connectivity beyond borders, the few things that we need to keep in mind. One is, by way of challenges, why it does not happen all this is infrastructure. So every country, as we understand from the panelists, everybody is investing in infrastructure, be it airport or navigation and whatnot. The most important challenges that we have observed in our experience is policy and regulation. Like if you want to expand your market beyond borders, the entire globe is governed by what is known as Agreement on Air Services, right? So until and unless there is a structural reform that happens in the Agreement on Air Services, we will continue to be limited by the number of flights that we agree upon to each other's country. Like if anyone wants to fly into India, the agreement will say you can go to Mumbai, Delhi, Chennai, Hyderabad, Bangalore, and for some Middle Eastern airlines, they can fly to maybe Kerala, few destinations in Tamil Nadu. That's all. What about the rest of the world? Look at the, yeah.
So let's focus on the question. Please.
Yeah, that's the question. Yes. That's a question. That's a question. You need some numbers to support this argument, because if you look at the number which Amber Dubey gave today morning, it's hardly 11 million incoming. Look at Indonesia, 26 million. Look at Malaysia, the entire population is incoming international population for them. And China is 156. So where are we? This is such a big country. We don't want to dismantle these air services agreements so-called and continue to hold on to our market access rights. We are not going to benefit, nor the region. So I just want to know from Usha ji, in the national civil aviation policy which you committed to this country, that we will open up the borders for, region below 5,000 kilometers. What is it that has happened? Thank you.
Thank you for the question. It was quite quite elaborate, in the sense you were also giving the other point of view. So now my job is only to mention about our perspective. ASAs, that is Air Service Agreement, is strategic to every nation. It is very, very strategic. It is not only commercial, it is also strategic. I would like to underpin that. Whatever has been mentioned in the National Civil Aviation Policy, we are going ahead with that. It is not only India, it is also for various nations. They have their own policies for this international connectivity, and they identified some of the what we call port of departures, where we have major cities, thinking that you will have some hubs generated within the country. We don't want the benefit of the smaller airports to be going to the airlines which are outside the country, in the interest of whether it is good or bad, I'm not saying. This is what the perspective of the government at present. So whenever it happens, we have an open sky for few of the states, few of the country. It is not same with every country. For US, it is the almost open sky. And we identify. And there are around 18 destinations which have been identified in India, other than the metros, including the Guwahati, Varanasi, where India has found it as a destination which are tourist destination, iconic destination. These are identified, and any foreign operator can mount the flight there. There is no restriction on frequency or the numbers. But yes, if you want to go to Bangalore, yes. If you want to go to maybe Bhopal, yes. If you want to go to, I don't remember exactly 18 destination, other than that, because there is a strategic understanding that some of the domestic airlines which would be taking up these people from the various smaller airport, tier 2, tier 3 cities, and they will get into the metro cities, and from there they will go, they will go out. So far it has been an understanding how we should be going, and in the wisdom of the government it has been decided. But let me very clearly mention, whatever has been mentioned in National Civil Aviation Policy 2016, that is the intention of the government, which has been very clearly articulated, and it has been implemented. Maybe there is a demand for more people to open up, like Kerala, he was giving an example. It becomes also a consumer's point of view. Everybody wants that more airlines to come, so that the competition would be more, price would be less. If I am saying that only Cochin would not increase the number of Gulf air going from Cochin to the Gulf countries, it may be a restriction for the Gulf air. Maybe people also think that if I have more flight during the Christmas or more flight during the festivals, it would bring down the prices. Otherwise, it is the predatory prices every airline, limited airlines are doing. But it is with some understanding that to have a balance. So in that way, this government policy has been at this level. Maybe we will be going ahead very incremental level and considering the interest of the airlines. As Mr. Basnet was mentioning, airlines have a very sensitive path to tread. Billionaire to millionaire. That's what even that is the joke in India too. If you are a billionaire, want to become a millionaire, or if you want to become a millionaire, invest in the. You should be a billionaire and invest in the airlines, and then you become a millionaire. No, so in that way. You get bankrupt. Okay. So even we are going. Many of our domestic are. I mean, in between. I mean, it's a phase we see. They saw very good phase some months back, and maybe now again because of the ATF price, they are again are in a very difficult condition. At this moment, if we don't support them, so there would be a very, I mean, we'll not be having any irreparable losses you may be having. So that is the reason we are very careful. But I entirely agree, because consumer point of view, enterpriser's point of view, we may see it in other point, but we are seeing it in a different perspective. Thank you.
So because of time, I know a lot of questions there, but I know you have a chance. So can we make it a last question, please, organizers? It's 12:35. Oh, you want to ask a question too? Okay, we'll make it two. But your question should be a question.
Yes.
I don't want your answer, okay?
No, yeah, sure.
So let the panelists answer your question. Okay.
Yeah. My name is Muafak, and I'm from CUTS International. And I've worked on civil aviation in the Himalayan region. So one thing about my idea of regional connectivity is an abstract in air. You know, it's the ideal connectivity would be a Bangladeshi or Nepalese aircraft being maintained and serviced in India, flown by a Sri Lankan or Bhutanese pilot. You know, and there's a huge diversity in the way national aviation regulations are made, in the pilot training modules or aircraft maintenance. That's one thing that I'd like to. Can we have a coherence in air safety or aviation regulations among the region, countries in the region? That's one question. Second quick question is, we speak about airports, creating airports, building infrastructure, having a commercial viability and profitability of the airports. But we have visa regulation problems. People, there are no direct flights within the countries, among the countries. For instance, a Bangladeshi, a Nepalese businessman traveling to Afghanistan, let's extend the neighborhood. A Nepalese businessman traveling to Afghanistan will have go through multiple procedures to get a visa to go there. There are no direct flights. So I'm sure that the commercial viability is in danger, not just commercial viability. I'm not sure if it even break even, you know, the airport project cost. So we need visa regulations to be relaxed in the region, among the region. That's the only way we can promote people-to-people contact. So how can we get there, getting relaxed visa norms? And third, an observation, quick observation, is that since I've been researching, I went through I scored through the websites of all individual national civil aviation regulators. There's no data on air services agreement, like what Bangladesh sends to Nepal, the seat sharing agreements that Nepal sends to India. So, as a researcher, credible, accessible data would be great. You have government people here. Thank you.
No, I think you have summarized very nicely with your questions on the issues that we have, the issues of visas, issues of how smooth the transition should be within countries passing through another regional country. So I think that's an issue that you have raised. It's not a question. And on specific to, I like your idea of the skills area, where the skills that Nepalese has or the Indians have, if these could be recognized or not between the countries. This is the point that Mr. Basnet has also raised earlier, where he was saying Nepal currently is sending laborers outside, but he thinks it's possible to have very skilled people to working across the region. Am I saying that?
We're supplying our captains to TrueJet, And there was some maintenance done at a maintenance organization at Nepalese, and we have maintained some Bangladeshi aircrafts in Kathmandu. So I think on the India, Bangladesh, Nepal, and even Bhutan, we have done a lot of maintenance for Bhutan airline. So I don't think there's an issue on human resource.
Great. I think, and as Ms. Padhee just mentioned, that even the pilots from Nepal, yeah, captains, yeah. Yes, so good point. But you can see the government and airlines already working on those points. So I know there's another last question, please. Yeah, and just question. Yeah, thank you so much.
Firstly, to the policy maker, the Joint Secretary, I have to summarize a whole lot of things, so I just try and summarize it. I'm coming from Bangalore, and this is a case study for like we do in management. I've done a management course, so this could be a case study. Now you have an airport which is about 45 to 50 kilometers away. The captive customer basket lies in the south. The airport is in the north, south and southeast. And you have all of us going about 45 to 50 kilometers through dense traffic. Traffic in Bangalore, everyone knows what it is. There is a small little metro which is chugging along at a pace at which the demand always outstrips supply. So there is no point. The medicine is brought to the patient after the patient is dead. The connectivity is abysmal. There is a crying need for another. I've just given this as a case study. This could apply anywhere in India. The policy planner, I want you to address this, and also the esteemed panel, a few other things. There's a crying need. Everyone needs a competition. Every occupation, every commercial activity needs competition if you want to improve things. They charge very high fees for the airport. The second runway is getting saturated. And still policy planners are not aware in Delhi. This is a civil aviation, the central subject, and the prime person is sitting here. And this could actually, there is a rule that within 200 kilometers, you'll not open an airport as per the convening contract with the earlier Siemens and Munich airport, which have now changed hands due to the stake has been divested. So you could always get them. Karnataka government has, I think, 49% stake. You still have a governmental thing. But the problem is there is no conceptual clarity on how to go ahead other than ad hoc small little measures, which is not the way forward. Now, if you take the distance to be traveled for a person in Bangalore traffic, you take about 2 hours, and I've missed 2 flights. Many people have missed flights. And so if you want to go to Chennai from there, which is next door, it would take about 45 minutes flying time. You would have to take a 2-hour journey through heavy, dense traffic. So all this, I just quickly summarize. So the problem is...
No, I will make your life little easy, because I am from Karnataka. So you need not explain too much about Bangalore. So you can cut down that.
Okay. Now this hub and spoke model, Mrs. Padhee, hub and spoke model is flawed at the outset. If you have a hub and spoke model, you will have a metro city developing exponentially and the spoke end not developing at all. So the aim should be to have widespread, district-wise. There are many airfields lying unused, Second World War vintage. There are lots of them. You could incentivize. There are many incentives that, for example, you could have ATF at 0%. If you really want to develop equity, you mentioned the word equity, not equality. If you want equity, have 0% ATF in some forlorn airport and tell the airlines that you can pick up ATF from there for 0% tax. They'll land up there.
Yeah, sir, one minute. Sir, 1 minute. I think what you are suggesting, you're not asking question, but good point. Let me ask Ms. Padhee points on...
And also, I want the esteemed panel to also reply on this, because they'll have better ideas than policy planners.
Let Ms. Padhee answer these questions, because I think there are answers for all that.
I will be brief and I'll request other panel members to respond. And even after that, I am sure because your question is so long, there may be many points which would be left unanswered. During the lunch, you can ask the questions and get
Very
it.
true, very true.
Yeah. As far as zero ATF is concerned, regional connectivity precisely talk about that. All those airports which are coming under the RCS would be having 1% or less ATF charge, 2% only on excise charges, landing parking free, RNFC free, what you call TNLF something, which is 40% at 40%. All these concessions are available. As far as concessionary agreements are concerned, pardon?
Not 1% on ATF is nothing.
No, I'm saying you can say you pay only 1%. Otherwise, some states had 20%. But all the RCS airport, it is 1% or zero. Andhra Pradesh is zero. Delhi is zero.
No, that's a state government thing. I'm asking about the central government.
Central
Civil
government excise tax which collects, which has been brought down to 18% to 2% for excise on all the ATF. Okay, in RCS airport. One second, these are the concessions which have been, that means like all the other airports which have to be developed or airlines would like to go, this concession would be available for first point. As far as a concessionary thing you talked about, it's a very long thing we can also get. Just now I spoke and some of you people must be wondering that how much government will intervene. As he said, like it is not possible to do the investment unless private participant come and do the investment. For that, you have to have some agreement which would be agreeable. You have to crowd in the private investment. You have to work out what is the model which will work for the private operator, which will make it profitable for them to make such a huge investment in airport. So whether it is good or bad, at Bangalore level, it was decided that within 200 kilometers, it should not be done. But for Hosur, we have already under RCS, we have given the clearances, but private operators are not coming. That is a Taneja Aerospace who would be saying that why I should be investing 60, 70 crores unless I get some annuity from the government. So see.
Incentivize it.
Incentive, that's what I'm saying.
There are many ways you could do it.
And that's what we have to do, means like there has to be a private people would be coming and making the investment. And when I say that, private will say that if I do Hosur one flight, I will not be getting my money. So you have to give me more aircraft, guaranteed some people will land there. Then again I have to work out. Which airport, HAL airport, which has been closed, has been told that if there is some negotiation, they can then work out on the opening of HAL or airport. So these are the things which I mean, it is not as simple as we discussed. There have been a procedure which has to be followed. At present, whether you agree or not, Bangalore airport is one of the world-class infrastructure which has come up. With the normal intervention of government, with the subsidy, it couldn't have developed like that anywhere. So there have been a master plan which has been agreed upon. For that, the investment has to come. So as far as the Karnataka is concerned, other airports you are talking, check about Vidyanagar. You talked about the other airports which have not been developed. Vidyanagar in Bellary district. The airport has been connected by under RCS, where it is connected to Hyderabad, it is connected to Bangalore.
Can I contest
One
you
second.
on this?
On Mysore.
Bellary, take Bellary.
It's the airport which is in Bellary district.
Yes.
So if you say that within 30 kilometers there is another airport, you have to develop that also. It is not possible.
Not required.
So Bellary has the Thorangal airport, which is 30 kilometers from the Bellary city, which has now connectivity to Hyderabad as well as to Bangalore. And believe me, for that, the private investor has invested around 4 crores of rupees from his CSR. Otherwise, we wouldn't have done. And Mysore, which was infrastructure was developed, the flight was not operating. Again, with the incentive which provided, flight is connected to Chennai, and now they are increasing the number of flights. So these are the few things which are there. If you have a better solution, certainly there is a platform.
I just give you this classic example.
No, I will request now other panelists to address.
Yeah, Ms. Padhee, 1 minute.
Sir, no, I would suggest please take it during the lunchtime. Why?
No,
Because
sir,
we are all, everyone is getting hungry.
Can I just bring this?
And I have to wrap it up.
Can I just
we have
bring
already
this
taken
out?
20 minutes
Big difference. Bangalore Airport has got few thousands of acres for a minimal lease of 99 years. Bellary Airport is 25-year lease for, I think, 5 lakhs per acre for 500 acres. And what a difference in the incentivization. With this incentivization itself, you could have made Bellary a much better commercial proposition than.
Sir, I would suggest this. You started with a good case study could be done. You have a task to do. Let's get a case study done. I'll be there to assist you with that. With that, I want to say thank you so much to my panelists. Well done. I know you have been flown from far away, but it was a great interaction because this interaction, there's lots of questions coming through, but I just want to wrap it up with 4 points. The points are very simple. Aviation, regional connectivity within the region is very good opportunity for all of us. There's people-to-people exchanges that can happen. There's integrated infrastructure that we can all develop together. We can also see there are regulatory issues that we can all work on. Because at the end, a question that came through is this: can our region, South Asia, could be a one aviation market? A one aviation market for all of the region. I think this is the question that we have to ponder about, because at the end, we have identified aviation could be a peacemaker. So with that, I want to say thank you so much. It's time to have lunch, but I'm pretty sure they will all be there during the lunch, so you can, and all of you, if you missed on question, please do ask them. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Just take a minute. In fact, thank you, Mr. Bahl. We have a small memento to give to the panelists. May I request my colleague Muafak, we have some grow tree certificates, which is a small memento. These have been supplied by a non-profit organization who will plant trees in your name somewhere in East Sikkim for these certificates. So, Muafak, if you can give it to Mr. Bahl. First, Mr. Bahl for Mrs. Padhee. Then Mr. Basnet, Mr. Manzur Ahmed. Thank you very much. And Ms. Bhattacharjee, of course. Thank you very much. Please join us for lunch in the Rani Bagh lawn. Okay.